Abdulaziz ibn Abdul Rahman al Saud, better known simply as Ibn Saud, was born in 1875 in Riyadh, then a modest desert settlement in Central Arabia. He would go on to become the founder and first king of Saudi Arabia, transforming a fractured peninsula into a unified state. His life story is a sweeping tale of exile, armed struggle, religious alliance, political calculation, and the transformative impact of oil wealth on a once impoverished land. Abdulaziz was born into the House of Saud, which at the time ruled the Emirate of Nejd. His father, Abdul Rahman bin Faisal al Saud, was emir, but the family's position was fragile. The rival House of Rashid, based in Ha'il, enjoyed Ottoman support and posed a constant threat. In 1891, after the defeat of the Al Saud forces at the Battle of Mulaida, the family was forced to flee Riyadh. Abdulaziz, still a teenager, followed his family into exile in Kuwait, where they lived under the protection of Sheikh Mubarak al-Sabah. These years were formative for the young prince, who observed Kuwaiti politics, learned the art of desert diplomacy, and quietly nurtured the ambition to one day restore his family's authority over Riyadh. In January 1902, at the age of 26, Ibn Saud launched the expedition that would secure his place in history. Leading a small band of about 40 loyal men, he made the long journey from Kuwait to Riyadh in secrecy. Arriving under the cover of night, they infiltrated the city and stormed the Masmak fort. In a swift and violent clash, Ibn Saud killed Ajlan bin Muhammad, the Rashidi governor. This daring operation restored the House of Saud's control over Riyadh and marked the beginning of Abdulaziz's long campaign to unify the Arabian Peninsula under his rule. Following the recapture of Riyadh, Ibn Saud spent the next decade consolidating his control over the Nejd. Central to his strategy was the revival of the long-standing alliance between the House of Saud and the Wahhabi religious movement, which provided him with religious legitimacy and helped unite the tribes under a shared ideological banner. At the same time, he cultivated the loyalty of Bedouin tribes through personal diplomacy, calculated generosity, and strategic marriage alliances. His authority grew steadily, and in 1913 he seized Al-Hassa from Ottoman control, expanding his dominion to the Gulf Coast and gaining access to a region that was both more economically productive and strategically important. The outbreak of the First World War brought new opportunities and challenges. The British, seeking allies against the Ottoman Empire, supported Sharif Hussein of Mecca in the Arab Revolt, but they also recognized Ibn Saud's value as a power broker in Central Arabia. While Ibn Saud accepted British subsidies and weapons, he avoided becoming entangled in Hussein's revolt, choosing instead to focus on his own strategic priorities. His main concern was the defeat of the Rashidis, whose alliance with the Ottomans remained a direct threat to his ambitions. By the end of the war, Ibn Saud's cautious approach had left him in a stronger position than either Hussein or the Rashidis. In the years following the war, Ibn Saud expanded his military reach through the Ikhwan, a tribal militia inspired by Wahhabi religious zeal. The Ikhwan's disciplined fighting and religious fervor enabled Ibn Saud to achieve several decisive victories. In 1921, they captured Ha'il, bringing an end to Rashidi rule and eliminating his principal rival in northern Arabia. Over the next few years, they turned their attention westward, defeating Sharif Hussein in a campaign that culminated in the conquest of the Hejaz in 1925. This gave Ibn Saud control of Mecca and Medina, the two holiest cities of Islam, significantly bolstering his religious authority. By the end of the decade, his forces had also extended his rule into the Asir region in the south. Yet the same fervor that had made the Ikhwan such effective soldiers also made them difficult to control. They disapproved of Ibn Saud's diplomatic relations with non-Muslim powers such as Britain and later the United States, and they objected to his decision to halt expansion into British-controlled territories. These tensions escalated into open rebellion in 1927. The conflict reached its climax at the Battle of Sabila in 1929, where Ibn Saud's forces decisively crushed the Ikhwan, reasserting his authority over both the kingdom's military forces and its religious establishment. With his internal rivals subdued and his territorial controls secure, Ibn Saud moved to formalize his rule. On the 23rd of September 1932, he declared the unification of his domains as the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, merging the Hejaz and the Nejd under a single state. The monarchy he established was absolute in authority, yet its stability depended on a careful balance between centralized power and the continued influence of tribal leaders and Wahhabi clerics. Through a combination of political skill, personal diplomacy, and extensive family alliances, often sealed by marriage, Ibn Saud ensured the loyalty of diverse regions and tribes. As ruler, Ibn Saud governed through a blend of traditional and modern methods. He maintained the Majlis, a council where subjects could bring grievances directly to him, and relied heavily on personal relationships to manage tribal politics. At the same time, he introduced modern innovations such as the telegraph, automobiles and medical clinics, and invested in infrastructure like paved roads. His modernization policies, however, were selective. Any reform that might challenge Wahhabi religious principles was avoided. For much of his early reign, the kingdom's revenue came from the Hajj pilgrimage, customs duties and British subsidies, leaving its finances modest but stable. The kingdom's fortunes changed dramatically in 1933, when Ibn Saud granted an oil exploration concession to the Standard Oil Company of California. Initial exploration efforts yielded little, but in 1938 large oil deposits were discovered in the eastern province. The start of oil exports transformed Saudi Arabia's economy almost overnight. Revenue from oil replaced pilgrim income as the state's primary source of wealth, allowing Ibn Saud to repay debts, expand his patronage networks, and strengthen the kingdom's institutions. The partnership with American oil companies also deepened ties between Saudi Arabia and the United States, foreshadowing a long-lasting strategic relationship. During the Second World War, Saudi Arabia remained officially neutral, but Ibn Saud's policies leaned toward the Allied side. In 1943, the United States extended Lend-Lease aid to the kingdom, recognizing its strategic importance and growing oil output. The defining moment in Saudi-American relations came in February 1945, when Ibn Saud met U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt aboard the USS Quincy in the Great Bitter Lake. The meeting was a diplomatic breakthrough. Roosevelt sought to secure Saudi cooperation in post-war planning and to ensure American access to Saudi oil, while Ibn Saud gained a powerful partner to bolster the kingdom's security and economic development. In the years following the war, Ibn Saud's health declined steadily. Afflicted by arthritis and other ailments, he often required a wheelchair, but he continued to direct the affairs of state. He oversaw Saudi participation in the 1948 Arab-Israeli War, committing Saudi forces alongside other Arab armies. Domestically, he began to delegate greater responsibility to his sons, preparing the kingdom for an orderly succession. On the 9th of November 1953, Ibn Saud died at his palace in Taif. His body was transported to Riyadh, where he was buried in the Al-Oud cemetery. The succession proceeded smoothly, with his son Saud ascending the throne. This was the first transfer of power in the young kingdom's history, and it set the precedent for hereditary rule within the House of Saud. Ibn Saud's legacy is that of a nation-builder whose vision and leadership permanently altered the political map of the Arabian Peninsula. By uniting disparate and often hostile tribes under a single flag, he created a stable state where none had existed before. His careful balancing of religious legitimacy, tribal loyalty, and pragmatic diplomacy allowed him to maintain authority in a challenging environment. The discovery of oil during his reign placed Saudi Arabia at the center of global energy politics, ensuring its influence for decades to come. The structures of governance, religious authority, and royal family rule that he established continue to define the kingdom today, more than 70 years after his death. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.